Yo, 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 it's your boy Okay. So today we finna be reacting to why comedy movies are dead. Hey,
Comedy movies have been dead for the past decade, which is especially depressing because Hollywood stopped making funny movies when we
okay, but no, what I was gonna say though, some real shit. Movies have oh my god, I keep doing that shit. Hold on. Movies have been dead though, I ain't gonna lie. Movies have been dead in general. Like Disney ain't making that shit no more. And obviously, I'm not trying to watch. I mean, no. I was just finna cap on some shit. I was finna say I'm not trying to watch no Disney movie, but that's kind of cap though. It's not like that's what I'm looking for. But you know how Disney movies used to smack, nigga. I'm talking about the Christmas movies, the motherfucker. We didn't even get out. Did we even get some good Halloween movies this year? Um, I ain't even really pay attention to movies this year. But I just know that it like them shit's been buns, bro. I've watched the recent. I don't even like the animation style Disney using right now. They got that little weird, realistic, cartoony. I don't fuck with that animation style. I low key fuck with the old. I mean, but you know, shit gotta progress. But right now, we're just niggas aren't even using their head. I still feel like we shouldn't even be seeing Captain America no more. I feel like we shouldn't even be seeing Iron Man no more. You feel what I'm saying? I mean, Iron Man did die. Don't get me wrong. I know about that shit. I'm hip, nigga. Shush. But we still shouldn't be seeing these old ass heroes that was made back in like not like hold on. Because that ass. When was the first almost said Avengers? No. Comic, cause nigga, they start off as comics, nigga. Boom, right? 63. 2011. That's not even when the movie started. Who was oh wait. Yeah, wait. Who was the first Marvel character? Fuck. Captain America, which was 1940 fucking four, bro. Oh shit, I forgot I did use the same. So nigga from 2011, which we got the first movie, is 2026, or it's about to be 2026, nigga. Fucking 1963. Still finna be 2026. Like, bro, we been having the same shit. What other movie can I say too? Like X-Men, bro. Deadpool, they kind of start. Wait, hold on. I think when the first shit. You know what I'm saying? 2016, I was gonna say I think that was the first movie they ever had, but I mean I don't know. Cause like, you know what I mean? But 2016, I fuck with Deadpool though. They need to actually have more Deadpool. They got three of them. I would love to see more Deadpool though. But you know that's a new character though. This is kind of new. You know, he's not new, but the movies are new. You see what I'm saying? Like, at least bring some new shit out. I feel like they're just doing the same ass ideas, bro.
needed them the most. The
Same
past
old
10 years
ass
have been some of the
ideas.
most chaotic and divided times in modern history. Politics taking over literally everything, cost of living
Facts.
skyrocketing, and people
Facts.
spending hours online doom scrolling an infinite feed of bad news. If there was ever a time we needed to collectively
I'll be on the reels.
sit in a theater and just laugh at something stupid, it's now. But it wasn't always like this. During the 90s and early 2000s, we
The
were getting
GOAT.
multiple hilarious comedy films each year. I bet you forgot how stacked the year 2004 was. Anchorman, White Chicks, Dodgeball, Mean Girls, Napoleon Dynamite, all in the same year. If we got one movie as funny as any of these in the past 5 years, we would be grateful. But this isn't even just an opinion. The data doesn't lie. 2016 was the official point of no return for comedy films. In that year, comedies made up about 12% of the domestic box office and pulled in $1.1 billion. Just 1 year later, their share was nearly cut in half to 7%, with gross revenue dropping to $790 million, making it the single biggest one-year collapse on
Damn, if you keep looking at the numbers, I mean, but 2020, that was like the start of COVID and shit. 2021.
Record. After that, it was all downhill. 2022 was particularly abysmal, with the entire genre of comedy grossing $259 million.
Oh, this is just comedy alone. Damn, I'm thinking this is like all movies for.
That is an entire year of movies that gross less than just what The Hangover did in 2009. So what happened to comedy films after 2016? Well, there are a few things we have to consider, but it all boils down to one major reason. And today we are going to discuss everything, starting with how Hollywood lost the creativity that we used to see in small, medium, and high-budget comedy films. The beauty of comedy is that it's boundaryless. Unlike drama, kind of action, or even horror, it doesn't really need to play by any established rules. A comedy can start with literally anything: a talking animal, a man stuck in a time loop, a dodgeball tournament, a pair of clueless detectives, and turn it into a creative masterpiece. The premise doesn't have to be realistic. It doesn't even have to make any sense. As long as it's funny, it works.
They need, bro, if the Wayne, I hear the Wayne, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to pause, but nigga, I hear that they coming out with a new one. I hope that is a banger, bro. They gonna save
Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, for example. What a unique concept. A private investigator who specializes in finding lost animals and solves crimes through pure chaos and speaks almost entirely in one-liners. At one point, he's literally crawling out of a rhino's ass. Then again, Jim Carrey was kind of a cheat code for 90s comedies. Films like The Mask and Liar Liar showcased his ability to immerse us into the most ridiculous plots imaginable. Carrey had this cartoon-like elasticity. He could bend and contort his face and body, which made even the dumbest scenes or dialogue unforgettable. But what about Dumb and Dumber, which is literally just a movie about two dumbasses?
You go straight ahead and you make the left over the bridge.
That's a lovely accent you have. New Jersey?
Austria.
Austria? Well then.
New Jersey.
Good day, mate. Let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
I always found myself gravitating towards films that had insanely unrealistic plots. The kind of movies where the world they're in doesn't follow society's rules or any rules at all. When there's no logic to be broken and the possibilities are endless. Like, literally anything can happen. The Hangover took this concept to the absolute maximum. At its core, it's just a bachelor party gone wrong. Something that in real life might just end with a bad hangover and some embarrassing photos. But in this world, it spirals into a mystery involving a missing groom, a stolen police car, a baby in the closet, Mike Tyson's tiger, and a mob boss named Mr. Chow. It's an escalating
Mr. Chow is the funniest nigga to ever exist, bro. Chow do nothing wrong. Chow? Bro, I love Chow, bro. Chow's hilarious.
chain of ridiculous events where every new reveal is crazier than the last, and because the movie establishes early on that anything can happen, you never question it.
Bro, that nigga had a stupid ass laugh that scene. Hold on. Because if you really just ain't watched that movie, bro. Never mind. I don't feel like looking at it. Look how many. Yeah, I need to get on with it. How long I've been recording for? Lock in.
Anchorman, the 1970s news industry is less about journalism and more about ego wars that escalate into literal deadly combat between rival news teams. Compete with tridents, horses, and someone catching on fire, and then casually returning to work like nothing happened. Anchorman is the perfect example of a comedy movie that dedicates almost all of its dialogue to do one very important thing: make you laugh.
Brian, I'm gonna be honest with you, that smells like pure gasoline.
They've done studies, you know. 60% of the time, it works every time.
That doesn't make sense.
The amount of quotable lines in this movie is unprecedented. It was even unique back then, but now, I mean, maybe you'd be lucky to get one or two quotables in a comedy movie. Dodgeball is about a Las Vegas dodgeball tournament for...
Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie, like that even, I'm sorry, but that even showcases like, Happy Gilmore too, bro. Like that shit was buns. I couldn't even finish.
Fully grown adults with a prize big enough to save a failing gym.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. What? Oh.
They get their asses handed to them by a bunch of Girl Scouts, experiment with some interesting uniform styles, and Ben Stiller is in this film doing what he does best, playing the role of the villain. And what about Ted, which asks you to accept, without hesitation, that a man's childhood teddy bear came to life, grew up with him, drinks, does drugs, and gets into full-blown relationships. And these are just some of the ultra-mainstream movies. Don't even get me started on Pootie Tang and Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood. These are movies that are so absurd that you have to make sure you watch them with people who have the same humor as you, otherwise they'll look at you like you're crazy. There are very few comedies today that keep the spirit of this insane absurdity. However, Cocaine Bear is one that does come to mind, which is about an American black bear that eats a stash of cocaine that fell out of a plane smuggling drugs. The bear becomes highly aggressive, attacking and trying to kill hikers in its way. While the movie is just alright, I do respect the dumbness of this idea. It's not trying to be relatable, it's just leaning fully into a ridiculous premise and committing to the bit, and that's something we don't nearly get enough of anymore. Most modern comedy movies take the safe route. We get movies like Vacation Friends 2, a generic sequel with the same recycled concept of a holiday gone wrong and being stuck surrounded by people with clashing personalities. Or The Man from Toronto, another Kevin Hart buddy comedy that is so formulaic it feels like it was designed for people to turn on and then fall asleep while the ads run. Comedies rarely go for absurd humor these days because, well, it's really difficult. Too open of a canvas can make it harder to build a story with structure. The freedom to do anything also means there's nothing stopping you from literally losing the plot, which is kind of what happened in Cocaine Bear. However, other great comedy films in the past started with a lightly realistic framework which only enhanced the absolute farce that took place during the film. Like Super Troopers, a movie about morally questionable cops. Sure, that sounds realistic, until you realize these highway patrol officers spend more time pranking civilians and messing with each other than actually enforcing the law. They behave in a way that doesn't even come close to representing reality, and none of them would still have jobs after these antics. But at the same time, it does make you think some cops might actually act like that in private. Or the 40-year-old virgin. Sure, it's very possible that a man could abstain or just not have the opportunity to have sex for half their life. And if you found that out, you might think, wow, that's interesting, and then move on. But the movie takes that basic believable premise and pushes it into pure absurdity. It then turns into all of Steve Carell's co-workers dedicating their entire lives to getting him laid. And of course, stepbrothers. I have a stepbrother, tons of people have step siblings. It's an extremely relatable experience, navigating new family dynamics and sharing space with someone you didn't grow up with. But in the film, nothing about that is relatable. We have two 40-year-old men with no jobs that spend their days building bunk beds, hanging out in a treehouse, and fighting like toddlers.
I didn't touch a drum set, okay? I witnessed with my eyes your testicles touching my drum set. All right, that's it!
A modern version of this absurd but also still upholding a slight realistic framework is the teen comedy movie Bottoms, which is basically just another silly high school movie, but through the lens of two queer students. The high school jocks in the film wear their full padded football uniforms.
I never heard about this movie.
Teen comedy movie Bottoms, which is basically just another silly high school movie, but through the lens of two queer students. The high school jocks in the film wear their full padded football uniforms 24/7, in class, at parties, while sleeping. It's obviously unrealistic, but it's a funny way of critiquing jocks that dedicate their entire personality to the sport they play. Oh, and a nice touch was throwing one of them in a cage in the classroom for absolutely no reason.
Try telling Dimitri Walker that. Little mother came the first week and I ain't seen him since.
Dimitri Walker committed suicide the first week of school, Mr. G.
Sure he did.
The reason why most comedy films today feel like they are missing that ultra creative touch, at least according to legendary director and producer Judd Apatow, is because comedy writers these days are just less funny. He said, when you make the list of the best movies of all time, you're always going to put Airplane on it. And if movies like that aren't being made right now, it's because people aren't smart enough and funny enough to make them. Okay, so who would be smart enough or funny enough to write a modern masterpiece? Well, I've noticed that comedy films today seem to be missing
Let me in there, bro. I'm the funniest nigga to walk this planet.
Actual comedians. And that's because some of the funniest and most popular comedians today are opting for something much easier and more profitable: podcasts. Before podcasts became wildly popular, comedians had essentially 3 routes to earn a career: get a job on Saturday Night Live, secure a TV sitcom, or get a role in a comedy film. The mainstream visibility earned through these avenues allowed comedians to fill seats in comedy clubs across the country. The vast majority of the comedians responsible for your favorite comedy films were originally platformed by SNL. Eddie Murphy, Bill Murray, Will Ferrell, Mike Myers, Chris Farley, Adam Sandler, Kristen Wiig. I could keep going on and on. It was much easier for a current or ex-SNL cast member to pitch a movie to a major studio because they have already proven to the industry that they are funny. So when these comedians began to see success in films in the 2000s, they assisted in casting other comedy actors with a ton of potential. Actors like Jonah Hill, Zach Galifianakis, Paul Rudd, Vince. And to see success in films in the 2000s, they assisted in casting other comedy actors with a ton of potential. Actors like Jonah Hill, Zach Galifianakis, Paul Rudd, Vince Vaughn, Melissa McCarthy, Steve Carell were able to skip over SNL and go straight to the big screen. And it sounds painfully obvious to say, but I think a large reason why older films were funnier was because the funniest people at the time were either writing or acting in these comedy films. Today, a comedian doesn't need SNL or a comedy film to determine their potential for a comedy career. All they need is a podcast. If you can be funny for an hour a week behind a microphone, clip the best moments for TikTok or Instagram, and build a loyal audience online, you can skip Hollywood entirely and still sell out theaters on a national tour. I'm sure Theo Von could assist in writing or acting in a really funny movie if he tried, but why would he? With podcast ad revenue, Patreon subscribers, and live show ticket sales selling out all over the country, a lot of comics are making more money than they ever could from starring in a studio comedy without months of shooting, studio interference, or the risk of a box office flop. This shift is a huge win for independent comedians, but a huge loss for comedy films. The performers who would have once been fighting to star in the next Step Brothers or The Hangover are now trying to get a spot on the Joe Rogan podcast or be interviewed by Theo Von. They don't need to spend years chasing a studio deal, and they don't have to share their earnings with a production company. It's a double-edged sword. On one hand, we can now hear from our favorite funny person every single week, sometimes multiple times a week, without waiting years for them to land a movie role. But the trade-off is that we don't get these larger-than-life, culturally defining moments that comedy films used to create. Nobody is quoting a podcast episode 15 years later the way people still quote Anchorman or Superbad. Well,
these movies just don't hit the same.
Very pretty.
She's a beautiful woman.
Unlike your cross-eyed mother.
Well, you don't have to.
I'm not Bobby Mata. I'm Bobby Mom.
And another big reason behind the decline of comedy films, as predictable as it is, I know, but we have to talk about cancel culture, because there are some components of this that make it a real factor. I think it goes without saying that most jokes these days receive backlash when they touch on political or social issues, but comedians have incorporated political undertones in their work for decades. Stand-up legends like Richard Pryor and George Carlin have long pushed boundaries and tackled sensitive topics like race, war, religion, gender, and government policies. The biggest difference is that in earlier eras, their controversial material was more likely to be seen as a part of their artistic persona rather than something to be taken literally. The same thing went for comedy movies. People generally understood that jokes were just jokes, with no intention of doing any actual harm. Then again, societal norms just simply change, and a lot of people today feel that making jokes or making light of very sensitive issues or topics is just not okay. We should not be joking
niggas
about
grow up
these
so
things.
sensitive.
1981.
Bro, and it's getting fucking worse. You see how a lot more kids talk back to their parents. Yeah, not mine. No, I'm gonna beat the shit out. Well, can I even say that? Hey, knock on wood. I ain't trying to have shit, but you feel what I'm saying, nigga? It's getting worse, bro. I be seeing that shit all around me. You just be seeing the kids talk back, and the parents be like, now, why would you say that? Man, if you don't beat that nigga, bro, They know
One
me.
comedy movie, Porky's, involves male characters spying on naked female students. This was then treated as harmless fun, but now recognized as harassment. The 1984 comedy, Revenge of the Nerds, includes a disturbing scene where a character disguises himself to trick a woman into sex, something that would now be recognized as grape, not humor. The 1994 film, Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, has been widely criticized in recent years for the way it mocks a trans woman. The 2001 comedy, Shallow Hal, centers on the idea that an overweight woman is only seen as attractive through hypnosis, promoting harmful stereotypes. 2007's Norbit has been Shallow Hal in recent years for the way it mocks a trans woman. The 2001 comedy Shallow Hal centers on the idea that an overweight woman is only. Seven's Norbit has been criticized for its offensive portrayal of black women. The character Rasputia is depicted as an aggressive, loud, violent, hypersexual, and domineering woman. And there's even a scene in Step Brothers that makes unapologetic jokes about white supremacy and Nazism. Chances are,
Yeah, that
if you
shit wouldn't
rewatch
fly
any
no more, bro.
comedy
Niggas
film
be
you
hoes.
loved in the past, you'll find a joke that either aged poorly or maybe you just don't think it's funny anymore. That's normal. And it may seem like these jokes or premises were okay in the past and people didn't care as much, but that's not necessarily the case either. They just did not have the platform to express their opinions. Social media has given literally anyone and everyone a platform to express immediate feedback and criticism, and this is a blessing and a curse. I and many other YouTubers literally benefit from this modern social media climate. We have no superiors that are controlling our opinions, deciding who we can and can't criticize, but then again, I am also providing depth, research, and nuance to the videos that I'm putting out. I'm also not trying to say any actor or movie should be canceled, deplatformed, or lose sponsorship or business opportunities. Also, if you look at the positives, the exact opposite can happen. A movie or comedian that is overlooked by the mainstream or considered problematic could actually be really funny, and there will be online praise for it. A telltale sign is when the tomato meter from expert critics is super low, but the popcorn meter, which is fan reviews, is high. However, as we know, most of the problems don't come from people giving genuine, nuanced criticism, but rather those who get their fix by causing outrage. Someone can straight up sit in a theater on the night of release and live tweet how funny a movie is. You'll see zero effort Twitter rage baiters go viral with vague tweets like, "I can't believe y'all think this is funny," or "this is problematic," which seems easy to ignore, but it will genuinely make someone think, "Damn, I guess I shouldn't go see this movie," or "Am I a bad person?"
Yeah, that shit true, because back in like 2020, they told me that the Flash movie was gonna be bad. The Flash movie wasn't bad in my opinion. I fucked with the Flash movie, but I mean, there was a bunch of people saying that shit was buns, you feel what I'm saying? But I mean, if I didn't go see it, I would never went to go see it with the bros, and that shit was fun as fuck. So you feel what I'm saying? Don't listen to what niggas gotta say on the internet. They do be trolling.
For thinking this is funny, and because social media rewards outrage, this can snowball into proof that the comedian, actor, or producer is a terrible person who is somehow unworthy of ever working again. People will read critical tweets with hundreds of thousands of likes, and they might disagree with what the people are saying, but because it has so much engagement and so many likes, it makes people change their opinions, change their minds. Maybe this isn't funny. Maybe I shouldn't think this is funny. And before you know it, there is an all-out online war over what was meant to be a joke.
You got this whole other wave where, like, now you have these people who put themselves in the oddest position of being the curators of what was kind or unkind. This was okay, but this wasn't, or I cringe when I look back at this. It's like crazy. I think those are sometimes the cringiest.
The purveyor of
what is funny or what isn't. Like, comedy's a big tent.
It's ever evolving. It's not to be dictated.
Right. There's no one way to the waterfall. It's a crazy idea that this would sit up and say, here's how you do comedy. It's like, you know, you got slipping on a banana peel to, you know, totally odd conversations to, you know, there's a wide range of what people find to be funny. And it's like almost like people that would like sit and overanalyze a situation to the point of making themselves feel really good about themselves.
And while you might think all of this is just easy to ignore, it's social media, it's not real. Just make the movie, right? Well, it's evident that major studios are a little hesitant to release a comedy with edgy or politically incorrect humor. However, actor Seth Rogen disagreed with this notion during an interview with Esquire magazine. The complaint that comedy is harder than it used to be is not a valid complaint. Maybe it was too easy before, and why should it be? Why shouldn't it be hard? I like that my job is hard because I'm trying to do something that requires a huge amount of resources and people's time and energy. What do you wish you could say? What do you feel has been taken from you? It's always funny when people are like, oh, they could never make the Diversity Day episode of The Office today. You can still watch it. I'm constantly meeting teenagers who love Superbad and who think it holds up, and none of them are like,
Superbad is fucking amazing, bro. That's what I'm saying. All the old movies, you can't take away from old movies, bro. Like, I hate them, like the cancel culture, like they talk about, bro. Superbad's fucking amazing. That's all I gotta say.
How dare you have said that? And Seth does make some great points here. Studios can still make whatever they want. There's nothing stopping them. And it's not objectively harder to be funny today. It just seems like they are not being honest about what they actually think is funny, which is why these comedy movies come out with boring or sanitized humor. The reason why Superbad holds up is because it was honest about the way many teenage boys think and speak. They are rude, crass, always thinking about sex, insulting each other constantly, distracted in school, thinking about the weekends, and living life like they are invincible.
You just get out of here and we'll talk about this later.
Evan, we're down 2 points.
Calm down, Greg. It's soccer. It's soccer.
You, man.
Hey, Greg, why don't you go piss your pants again?
That was like 8 years ago.
People don't forget.
They call each other gay, sometimes even using the F slur, even though that would widely be considered homophobic and a cancelable offense these days.
I don't know. It's really messed up. Super gay.
The way they behave and talk is shocking
That's
and
messed up.
inappropriate,
Super
but that's
gay.
what makes it funny, because it is
This nigga
somewhat
funny
of a
too.
snapshot of reality, with the exception that, like, just the average teenage boy is not that funny. Now, you might think this is problematic behavior, and maybe it is. So maybe the film is just not for you. But some take it one step further. They say a film like this is platforming and promoting this disgusting behavior. We are idolizing these morally bankrupt teenage boys, which will justify their bad behavior and maybe even inspire them to act in such a way. And hey, that could also be true too. But regardless of how you feel, the movie is good because it is honest. They went for it and they doubled down on it, even though it was politically incorrect. A modern version of Superbad wouldn't ever be made because they would be too afraid to offend anyone while providing a somewhat realistic depiction of a teenage boy who is gross and reckless with his words. And even if they did, they would probably add some tertiary character who steps in and tries to correct their behavior or be the voice of reason. Then again, sometimes being realistic is not funny. Like, look at the 2020 film American Pie presents Girls' Rules. American Pie is supposed to be a raunchy, disgusting depiction of the primitive young adult or teenage mind.
That nigga was tweaking the whole movie.
It's unapologetic and incredibly stupid. This modern version was supposed to be the same thing, but from the female perspective. Looking to spice up their love lives before graduation, 4 female high school seniors band together to harness their girl power and get what they want from the boys. Let's just compare.
I didn't hear about it.
The first clip is from the original American Pie. This is how they wrote a female innuendo.
Oh, and this one time at band camp, I stuck a flute in my.
Excuse me?
What? You don't think I know how to get myself off? Hell, that's what half of band camp is. So, are we gonna screw soon? Because I'm getting kind of antsy.
Now compare that to the new American Pie.
None of us need a man to have a healthy life. I am learning that technology has given us incredible innovations in self-pleasure. And like whatever you're into, external, internal, rabbits, wands, vibrators, remote-controlled plugs, beads, then wall balls, and wall balls. Oh yeah, I have 2 in right now. It is a very specific sensation.
It is.
Maybe this new version is funny.
I mean, it's not that it's not funny. It's just, I see like, it's the picture they're painting. Oh, we don't need them. Like, nigga, just do the movie, bruh. We don't, guys don't walk around talking about, I don't need no bitch. I don't need a bitch. I don't need a bitch. At the end of the day, yes, you do. Like, bro, y'all think, I'm not even finna touch that topic, bro. Just know they do, bro.
And I'm just not the target demographic. So I'll ask my...
Just like deep down, we need... You know what, bro? Let me be quiet. We don't need nothing.
My 20% female audience. What do you think is funnier? A girl saying, "We don't need men, we have toys," or a girl saying, "I shoved a flute up it at band camp"? The fear of being canceled is so apparent that studios seem to not even try to make a true comedy anymore. Some of the most highly rated comedy films in the 2020s aren't exactly praised for their straight up funny premises and jokes. Take Don't Look Up, for example. Sure, it has funny moments, but it's a satire about a planet-killing comet that's clearly a metaphor for climate change, media distraction, and problematic politics, setting up the planet for failure. Do these comments look like they are for a comedy movie? I always respect a movie that has the balls to actually show the world ending. Every disaster movie starts with the government ignoring a scientist. We really did have everything, didn't we? Damn, that made me cry. You know what other comedies are extremely popular in the 2020s? Free Guy, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. Do you notice anything different about these comedy movies? They are superhero movies. And don't get me wrong, they're entertaining, they're fun, but they're not comedies in the traditional sense. We get a lot of these films that are action first with humor as a seasoning, but ultimately, much like every other industry, the true reason why comedy films are not being made like they used to is because of, you guessed it, money. When it comes to movie theater ticket sales and financial...
That's all it's about nowadays. I mean, like, Nah, cause back then it was about the art. You know what I mean? Like even back then, niggas would tell you the music. You could even hear it back then. It was about the art of waiting. That's why niggas like Juice WRLD and XXXTentacion are still being looked at. You know them niggas are dead, but we still go back and listen to their music. I mean, me personally, I was listening to his music when he was alive. But I know there's people that just listen to his music when, you know what I mean? But either way it go, we still listen to his music when they dead because they was actually put art behind it. Nowadays, that's why I feel like rappers ain't even doing that good either, bro. Cause like niggas, they're just making clones of each other. Like, bro, you know how many Cardi clones out here? You know how many fucking Summers clones out here? How many it's just like clones. It's just like nobody's original. Nobody's doing nothing. I mean, but then again, they did set a high marker. But I mean, you feel what I'm saying, bro?
Performance, comedies have always been risky. While genres like adventure and action
niggas don't got the art behind it no more.
Success due to built-in spectacle, global appeal, and merchandising potential, comedies rely almost entirely on the jokes landing. What one person finds hilarious, another might find confusing, offensive, or simply unfunny. Jokes often rely on shared knowledge, references, or social commentary that might not translate across different cultures or age groups. A comedy scene that relies on American pop culture might fall flat for an international audience unfamiliar with these references. And on top of that, there's typically no giant CGI battle or billion-dollar franchise name to fall back on if the audience isn't laughing. Now, back in the day, plenty of comedies were huge financial successes. Meet the Fockers, The Waterboy, Wedding Crashers, 22 Jump Street, all grossing hundreds of millions of dollars on the worldwide box office.
I really wish they made a 23.
Considered good or cult classics underperformed in the box office. Adam Sandler's Billy Madison only grossed $26 million at the box office. Dazed and Confused only earned $8 million. Grandma's Boy, $6 million. And this was at a time when people were still actively going to the theaters. Our last peak in movie theater ticket sales was in 2002 when 1.5 billion tickets were sold. And although these films technically made more money than their budget, film budgets typically refer to production costs only. Marketing and distribution costs, also known as P&A, print and advertising, are handled separately, and these marketing costs can be in the tens of millions. However, where these films made their real money was in DVD sales, also another thing of the past. DVDs, rentals, and cable syndication were the lifeline for comedies that didn't crush it in the theaters. A movie like Billy Madison might have been considered a moderate performer at the box office, but once it hit blockbuster shelves and played on Comedy Central every other weekend, it became a cultural staple. Those secondary markets gave studios the confidence to take a chance on mid-budget comedies because even if they didn't make their money back in the theaters, there was a high probability the film would eventually find its audience later. That safety net is now gone. Ticket sales are down. Physical media sales have plummeted. Rentals are practically...
Well, nigga, that's because who the fuck is finna spend $13 on a fucking adult and then still like $7 on kids, bro? y'all niggas are doing way too much with them damn tickets. On top of the fact, it's not even that. I just feel like, you feel what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of people, like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, niggas still gonna take their girl or something out to the motherfucker movies, but that used to be the cheap date. You feel what I'm saying? That used to be like a little nigga $20. Nigga, you spending $30 if you taking yourself and a girl to go see a movie. $36 if y'all niggas want some snacks and shit. $30, $40 if a nigga, you feel what I'm saying? If a nigga want snacks, drink, popcorn, and all that. Bro, I might as well just took us out to eat. You feel what I'm saying? It's not even the fact that I gotta spend $40, but nigga, I wasn't trying to do that. You feel what I'm saying? I might as well just took us out to fucking eat. And
while streaming might seem like a replacement, it doesn't generate anywhere near the same revenue for studios. Once a comedy film drops on Netflix or Hulu, the studio gets its licensing fee, and that's it. There's no long tail of DVD sales trickling in for years, no late-night TV reruns keeping the movie in circulation. There is no second life. Judd Apatow confirmed this when he said, "After the last writer's strike, it felt like the studios decided not to develop movies. They used to buy a lot of scripts, and they had big teams of people giving notes, and they worked for years with people in collaboration on those scripts. I feel like the studios don't buy as many scripts now. Today, every comedy has to either perform in theaters that are half empty, or immediately crush on streaming, or it's a total loss. So basically, comedy films just can't work in the modern era. Comedians are choosing podcasting and stand-up over film. The toxicity of cancel culture puts comedy films at risk to cause uproar."
And that shit real as fuck, bro, because I ain't gonna lie, I don't even remember. I think the last movie that I've been in that was like packed recently was the Endgame movie, and that shit where I was at, it was packed, but like there was still open seats. Nigga, I remember back when I was a kid, bro. When I was a motherfucking kid, and I was like still like 2011, all that. When we was going to the movies, shit packed. You feel what I'm saying? Like, it would be like maybe 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8, seats left open. Nowadays, nigga, hey, bro, where you want to sit? You got all of this to choose from. Like, nigga, you might have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're all scattered around, but you still got a lot of space to choose from, bro. I mean, back then, hey, can we go ask that one nigga to is that person two? Does that person got two, or is that just a one person? Cause we might gotta swap with him. You know what I mean? Like, bro, this shit used to get real back then. That shit low key crazy. Netflix ruining it. The streaming services is ruining it. Yeah.